French embassy in DC is launching a new website on climate change. How important is that issue to French diplomacy?
Climate change is certainly one of the most challenging global issues the world has had to face. Science tells us that without action, temperature could increase on average up to 6% by 2050, with certain regions facing higher temperature increases than the average. I'm thinking, of course, of the poles. Climate change could then lead to unprecedented consequences, such as droughts, rising sea levels, loss of diversity, biodiversity.
You're a supplement, you're a salve, you're a bandage.
Ambassador, how does this priority fighting climate change translate in France's policies?
Well, France has been strongly committed to acting on this challenge now for many years. In fact, since the 70s, France has implemented its own national policies to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions and increase its energy security. France today has the 8th lowest rate of greenhouse gas emissions per capita in Europe, and after Sweden, it has the 2nd lowest rate of greenhouse gas emission per unit of GDP. This performance has been achieved through an energy mix largely based on nuclear energy and more than 10% of renewable energy, in particular biomass and hydropower, combined with proactive energy efficiency policies such as low-carbon cars, high-speed train, or waste-to-energy.
You're a supplement, you're a salve.
I heard about the Grenelle de l'Environnement. Could you tell us a bit more about this initiative?
Well, it all came out with the idea that to take up the challenge of the climate change, France should further green its economy with the aim of achieving a sustainable economic growth model compatible with an emission pathway that would limit global temperature increase to 2%. You know that this is a goal that we have now in our legislation. So to that end, France launched the so-called Grenelle de l'Environnement, which was a nationwide consultation process that include, of course, scientists, NGOs, all kinds of policymakers, the administration, but also the trade unions, the private enterprise and private corporation, and many other stakeholders. And this has resulted in a comprehensive strategy that is currently being transferred into our legislation and our regulations.
You're a supplement, you're a salve.
Where does Europe stand in this context?
Well, it's playing a big part because, of course, France is a member of the European Union, and during our own presidency in the second semester of 2008, we have played a leading role with some other member states to craft some bold and comprehensive European policy precisely to address climate change. So Europe has been the first regional entity to adopt an economic-wide regulation of greenhouse gas emissions for post-2012, after Kyoto, as we say today. And the 27 member states have passed a series of legislation to reduce their overall greenhouse gas emissions by 20% by 2020 compared to 1990 levels. Today, the European Union represents only 14% of the worldwide greenhouse gas emissions, while its share of the global GDP is 30%. So it is obvious that it can only fight climate change efficiently if the major emitters join the European Union in this fight and adopt enforceable national policies that result in a real-world greenhouse gas emission reduction.
You're a supplement.
Ambassador Vimont, I would like to thank you for answering our questions. Do you have a last word for our viewers?
What I would like to say is that this website that you're entering into aims to provide information and facts on French national climate policies and French position in the international negotiations as they are going on. So I hope you'll enjoy your path inside this website. Have a nice journey there. Thank you. La question n'était pas facile.